Hello, everyone, and welcome to Buy Bags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I am Lonnie from Horror Heaven77, and I wanted to talk about a movie. It took me a while to finally get around to watching this, and yeah, the movie that I'm reviewing is one of the After Dark originals from 2012. It's called Dark Circles, and the movie is actually the main reason. I'll get to that in a second. Okay, I've been wanting to catch up on some movies that I haven't watched yet, and finally I got around to watching this one. But the main reason that I really wanted to review this movie in particular, which I found very particularly interesting for me anyway, is the fact that the movie is written and directed by Paul Soter. If you're not familiar with who he is, Paul Soter is actually one of the members of the comedy troupe Broken Lizard. He's helped write and perform in all the movies and everything that they've done. They're no, if you don't know who they are, they've done movies like Super Troopers 1 and 2. They've done Beer Fest. They've done The Slam and Salmon, Puddle Cruiser, and probably the one that horror fans might most know them for is their horror comedy slasher cult film, Club Dread, starring the late great Bill Paxton. And so that's really what got me interested in wanting to hurry up and check this one out and review it. And so right off the bat, I'll say it's a good film. It's a good film. Not a great film, but it is a good film, and I'll get to that. The movie stars Jonathon Schaech, who horror fans, this guy's building up quite a career. Is not just an actor in horror movies. He's been in a bunch of horror films. He was in the last, was it that Bloodline, that Day of the Dead Bloodline? I didn't see it, but he was in that. He's, not only is he an actor in horror films, he's also a screenwriter. So he's co-written, he has a writing partner and they've co-written a lot of horror films. He starred in a lot of horror films and horror series. He did an episode of Masters of Horror. I believe it was the Washingtonians. He was in that one. He did an episode of Fear Itself when Masters of Horror moved to network television and became Fear Itself. He was in an episode of that. He's been in other horror films, and yeah, he's built quite a horror career here in the last few years. So, and the one thing that I found was really really interesting is that both Schaech and who, by the way, a little bit of trivia here, he actually used to be married to Christina Applegate. And the two of them actually had a moment in the movie The Sweetest Thing, where Christina Applegate played with Cameron Diaz. There was a part where they meet in a bar and they just have this funny kind of back and forth, just kind of like, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? So, but anyway, so what I found was really interesting was when you watch the bonus features and you watch the commentary on here, it turns out that both Schaech and Paul Soter are huge horror movie fans. And I found that interesting because Paul Soter, you wouldn't really think of him as much of a horror movie fan because he comes from a comedy troupe, and he's mostly known for, doing comedies and stuff. So it's weird. It's not weird, but it's fascinating to find out that he's actually a huge horror movie buff. And, in the behind the scenes featurette on here, he's already talking about, he's got many other scripts and treatments written for other horror films that he wants to do. And I really do hope I haven't looked him up before I did the review. I need to look him up, see if he's done any other horror films since then so I can get them and check them out. But okay, so our story here, you have Jonathon Schaech playing Alex. He plays Alex, and Penny, played by Pell James. They're, they're a married couple. She's pregnant. She's expecting their first baby. He's a musician, and so they're kind of having a little bit of, I don't want to say trouble, but she's talking about, she's getting into what, there's a term for called nesting, which is when, like a woman is pregnant and she's getting ready to have a baby and she wants to, like if there are things that are not put in order, she wants to get them put in order so that, get ready to settle into family life. So she found a nice big house out in the country, and she wants to move to this new house and start their life. Where Alex, he's not really feeling it. He kind of likes the big city, and he likes working on his music and wants to continue doing that. And so he's he's been in a situation a lot of uh, a lot of men feel like they're in when when they're starting a family. They feel like they're, kind of like a lot of their dreams and aspirations and things like that. They kind of feel like they're kind of sacrificing that for the sake of their family that they're starting. So he's kind of going through that, and so they have their baby and they move. Penny kind of puts the rush on getting this house, and so they get this house, and then they move in, and it turns out, of course, like with a lot of married couples, family starting a family, they're not getting any sleep. They're preoccupied with the baby most of the time, and so the baby's always crying, so they're not getting any sleep, so they're sleep deprived and things like that. And then they start to see things, they start to hallucinate. And the thing is they start to wonder if what they're seeing and what they're dealing with is actually real, or is it just all in their head? Is it all psychological? And I think that's kind of the most interesting thing about this movie is that you have these two characters who are genuinely good characters, and they're starting out in life. They're trying to build their family. They're trying to be there for each other, but it's hard, and they're going through trials and tribulations in their life, and they're not getting any sleep. They're the two of them are hating each other. They're ready to they're snapping at each other. They're not getting any sleep. Just, everything just seems to be going wrong. And then, and then things start happening and there are some pretty intense moments, especially including the baby. So if you're one of those kind of people, if you're very tense about, things happening to babies in horror movies, this movie's going to get you. This movie will, spook you pretty good because you're going to be sitting there like, seeing all the stuff going on, with the baby and everything. But overall, it's a good movie. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm sorry, but there's a little bit of blood and gore, but not much. So if you're hoping this thing is going to be like an ultimate splatterthon, boy, you're going to be disappointed in that. But it is a good movie. I will say though, the I do have to be honest. So it does feel a little. This movie does feel a little bit cliche. It does feel kind of like a lot of movies you've seen before, and then also too with these kind of ghost story, haunting type movies. There's a lot of jump scares. There's a lot of, boo scares and things like that. So if you're the kind of person who gets annoyed by that, this movie might agitate you a little bit, but overall it is a good watch and I do recommend it. It runs at a pretty brisk pace. It's only 86 minutes long. Yeah, I would say go ahead and check it out. Yeah, and like I said, for me, the main reason I really wanted to get this movie and watch it and review it was mainly because of Paul Soter, though, because I just thought that I don't know why it's fascinating to me when you see people who are mostly known for comedy, venture into the horror genre. To me, it was interesting, like when back in the day to see John Landis, who come on, like Kentucky Fried Movie, Blues Brothers, Animal House. And then we see him venture into horror with An American Werewolf in London. To see Kevin Smith, who he's very much into comedy and stuff. To see him start to venture into horror films with like Red State and Tusk and his segment for holidays, and he's got Kilroy coming. When is Kilroy coming out? I want to see Kilroy. Or Kilroy was here. When is that coming out? I want to see Kilroy was here. The trailer makes it look really good. I want to see that movie. But also too, it's like it's interesting when you see, like Eddie Murphy, like when he did Vampire in Brooklyn or something. To me, it's fascinating when you see people who are, performers, male or female, who are really known for comedy. They're known for being funny and humor and everything else. It's always interesting to see them move into horror and to see some of the things that could come out of their imaginations. I don't know why. It's fascinating to me, and it was the same thing with Paul Soter because, if you watch the Broken Lizards movies, except with the exception of Club Dread, usually like you watch the Broken Lizards movies, you would not think that Paul Soter would, have this kind of stuff going on in his head. And a lot of it he took from personal experience. On the commentary and in the interview and everything he said himself, it's like he and his wife he said that they were going through a very scary time because they were having their first child. They got their home and they were starting to build their family, and they were going through the very same thing. They weren't getting any sleep. There was construction going, like they were trying to sleep, and early in the morning, like construction crews would be working and start making noise and everything else. And so it just felt like everything was going wrong. And he and his wife, there were moments of being really scared about the baby, which I think parent can just about every parent can pretty much admit to, and things like that. And then just also too, just being scared at like how mad you can get at each other, you and your wife, like how mad the two of you can just really get at each other, and almost like really just almost ready to just claw each other's eyes out. And so that was interesting. So he took a lot of the elements in this movie he took from his own personal experiences, which I think is interesting. But I would say, okay, I mean, don't expect like a groundbreaking, game changing horror film. It, like I said, it does feel a little bit cliched, but it's not a bad film overall. It's beautifully photographed. It's a well made film, which I think Soter pretty much just had to kind of scrimp and save to get the money together to get it made. You can tell it's kind of a low budget because most of the movie does take place in one location. But um, but yeah, it's a nice looking film. It's a beautiful looking film, well shot, well written, good characters, interesting dynamic between the two characters, and you do feel for them. And that is one thing I will give this movie bonus points for. It's like that's one thing you don't see in a lot of horror movies anymore, is characters that you genuinely actually care about anymore. So, but yeah, I would say go ahead and give it a shot. Just if any of the things say that make it just for curiosity's sake, I say, yeah, go ahead and give it a shot. I think Dark Circle is really a good film, and I do recommend it. So, anyway, that's pretty much going to do it. So, if anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. I also hope you enjoyed the movie, and if you did, please leave a like. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the Buybacks channel. We have a different reviewer for every day of the week, and I'm the Friday reviewer. We got great guys. Everybody's doing great stuff. So, yeah. So, everybody, thank you again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.